what's going on, everybody? Today I'm covering this pot with some fabric. Yep, that's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm tired. And I needed this for another project, so I figured if I'm gonna do it, I might as well record it. This is a fat quarter from Walmart. I think it was like $1.97 maybe. This pot was like 88 cents. They're super cheap. I bought this fabric because I needed something that was like light and springy, but this is bold. It's very bright. But I was planning on adding a little bit of chalk paint distressing anyway, so I just decided to go with this, and it came out fine for what I needed. So all I did was rip off a strip that will cover the inside lip, the outside band, and a little bit down onto the pot itself. And I'm using Podge Super Gloss. I'm going over this with chalk paint, so doesn't really matter if you use gloss, matte, whatever you want. I like using Super Gloss for fabric because it's very thick and it really soaks into the fibers and gets them stuck down pretty good. This is not a pot that you're going to be able to plant something directly in. I mean, you could if you sealed it really well with like a waterproof sealer, but no. If you wanted to do that, you could. So I'm just going to go bit by bit and get this fabric down, and I'm going over it as I push it down because, as I said, this really sinks into the fabric and it provides like just a really nice hold, a nice finish. I like this. I almost wish they had a matte version that was this thick, you know? And I like that this is clear and not like white, because you know, like my Podge is white and then it dries clear, and that's fine, but I like that this starts off clear and ends up clear. It just has such a nice body to it. But it is super glossy, so you either want that look, you have a way to cover up that look, whatever. But give it a try if you need, if you're going to use glossy Mod Podge anyway, get a container of this and see if you like it, because I really like it. I don't know that I would use it with like paper napkins or anything like really thin or fragile, just because it is pretty heavy. So now I'm putting some on the inside and just pushing that down. This isn't going to show, but I just wanted to make sure I get it down. And as always, when I'm doing my Podge, I inevitably just switch to using my fingers. I like feeling the amount of product I have on whatever I'm working on, and in this case I could feel where there wasn't enough Mod Podge and I needed a little bit more. So see, the inside's covered, that top band is covered, and I'm going to go through and make sure that right underneath that band is laid down as well. We're going to cover that with a different piece of fabric, but I want to make sure that's down. And so using my fingers just lets me get in there a little tiny bit easier maybe. And this is not going to end up being like a perfect finished product. If you want to cover a pot with a pattern, you need to use paper napkins because the thickness of the fabric just doesn't really allow for you to get every little seam and bump and crease out. But again, I was going for very rustic distress, so I didn't let the little bumps and creases bother me. So now I have another piece that's wide enough to cover the entirety of the pot and the bottom. And this piece is not straight, but I'm using a straight piece to cover, and I'm going to cut some slits in it once I'm done adhering it, just to get everything laying a little bit flatter. If you wanted to use fabric and like have this done really nice, you would have to pretty much measure out the pot and get like a template. I could have done that, but again, this was not for anything where I needed perfection, or wanted perfection really. So I'm just pulling and smoothing, making sure everything's saturated. You do have to use a lot of product when you're working with terracotta because, as you know, it's very dry and it absorbs a lot of moisture. So this is drying incredibly fast. Like where I'm at right here cutting, that's already pretty much dry enough to handle. And I like ripping the fabric because you're not left with like a straight edge, like a super straight cut edge. You see, like I ripped this piece straight, but you can see how it goes on an angle because that's the pattern of the pot. You know, that's the way the pot is, where it's wider at the top and it's smaller at the bottom. Get underneath that, lay it back down, and I am putting a fair bit of pressure on here. See how it goes on an angle? And there's a lot of excess fabric because it's bigger at the top and smaller at the bottom. I don't think I need to explain how pots work. So now I'm going to cut in some slits just to relieve a little bit of that excess fabric so I can make some fold over areas. I went down just past the bottom of the pot. If you're dealing with a bigger pot, you might have to go a little bit further down. If you're dealing with a smaller pot, you might not have to go down that far. But this is a 4-inch. So as I'm sticking this down, I'm going to get one side down first and then fold it. And the bottom of this does look kind of messy, but if you were using it for anything besides like putting a pot in it, to put a plant in it, you could put a piece of felt over the bottom just to cover that up. Like if you're just putting, you know, some fake greenery or silk flowers or something like that. Because we are covering up the hole. And this isn't waterproof. I know they have the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. I can't recommend that because I've never used it. But that could be something you could look into if you wanted to actually plant something in here. But if you do plant something in here after you've used a waterproof whatever, make sure you open that hole back up so your plants don't drown. I'm getting it on there and I'm kind of pulling and tucking, trying to get this as smooth as possible, which, you know, I guess I probably could have done a better job at, but I didn't need perfection. This is our last little piece. Gonna get that stuck down and then put a generous coat on the bottom just to make sure that that not only sticks all together, but it's hard. Because you don't want to have a bunch of lumps and bumps on the bottom of something. So that's it all finished. You can see there's a couple little creases in there, nothing disastrous, not that big of a deal. I'm gonna let mine dry. I just have a little can of spray glue so it's elevated. Only because I don't want the rim to stick to the table, I don't want the bottom to stick to the table. And this is it when it's just done. And I sped through this because for some reason, don't know why, I'm like not in the camera frame at all. Like I just was like, oh okay, well you don't really need to see this, but I'm dry brushing it with Scallion Chalk Paint by Waverly. This is such a pretty color, I'm like obsessed with it. I'm not going over this with any particular rhyme or reason, I'm just trying to mute out that pattern a little bit. And I couldn't find my white chalk paint, so I'm going through with just some gesso. And it is toning everything down. It's making everything look a little bit more together, like it's tying everything together without it being so bold. You can see that's what the regular fabric looked like next to it, and this is it done. I just threw some fake greens in it to get the pictures, but yeah, it's fun. Rustic, kind of what I was going for. Perfect for what I was going for, actually. So, hope you guys enjoyed this, and, you know, Like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys on Monday with something new. Bye-bye.